Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CM Trading. And today is April 5th, 2023, and today is Wednesday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, gold making a breakout to new yearly highs. But first, looking at the major economic events of today. So at 4 o'clock South African time out of the United States, we have an ISM Services PMI numbers coming out. Now looking at the various markets going into this number, the Forex symbol, the Japanese yen makes a comeback. While looking at the indices, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ both take a sell-off. And looking at commodities, gold makes that breakout and oil holding to its gains. Now when we look at stocks, Facebook and Amazon are still very strong despite the sell-off in the markets. And lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin bounces back to resistance. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. We're going to take a look at the USD Japanese yen, and you can see this beautiful comeback by the Japanese yen versus the dollar. That is a significant, it's a nosedive, okay? 200 pips in one day, that's a lot, okay? To make a correction on the downside from 133 down to 131. Now, this is very difficult to anticipate. So if you were on the trigger, if you were watching this throughout the day, it was potentially a trade to take. Now, the reason I'm highlighting this because if we're looking at the Euro USD, it's still at that resistance-ish level. If we look at the GBP USD, actually breaking out higher versus the US dollar. This is the strongest it's gotten in 2023 versus the US dollar as it's hit that 124 to 125-ish level versus the USD. That's a big deal for the GBP. So looking at the current situation, the dollar getting weaker versus the major pairs, namely because the Dow Jones has been going, and the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ has been going up significantly. Okay, let's take a look at that. Before we do, let's jump to gold. Gold making that breakout to 2023. Now, this is new highs for the year. A little bit of a wedge formation, not a little bit. A wedge formation has been set up. Now, it's very difficult to have anticipated this because ultimately this has really been something that kind of faked us out on the downside because we looked like we were trading between this 2000 to 1954-ish level. Okay, you saw that, but it kept on edging higher, and sure enough, once it took it out. So significantly higher right now. If we look at the next resistance-ish level, next one is really 2055. So this is significant. We're only about $30 away from it, and that means we could make new highs for the year on gold. Now looking at crude oil, hanging on to its gains at $81 a barrel. If we look at a daily chart, we're still at the top of that range, that new range that we've created ourselves. Okay, but the $82 is that resistance-ish level, so be aware of it. Now looking at the U.S. market, starting out with the Dow Jones, we took a little bit of a sell-off yesterday as the markets consolidated and took some profits after a massive rally up. Now remember, we're going to start major economic events for this month, corporate events, so it's going to be a volatile month for the U.S. markets. Now jumping into the NASDAQ, did the same. After hitting that 13,400-ish level, we did retrace, okay, just shy of that 400, excuse me, to 13,200. We're retracing to about 100 points. Not a big deal, but I want to highlight the following thing. Okay, this is where it becomes very interesting. Facebook is making new highs for the year. Not big highs, 214, but making new highs for the year. That means there are buyers in this area, which means that it could potentially even go even higher. Now remember, we do have resistance at 231, which is about $15 away. So still, it has some room on the upside to hit some resistance-ish level. Now looking at Microsoft also hitting that upper limit. But what has been strong is Amazon. Amazon up at 103, still making a comeback. This is obviously after that split. But we are trading in an upwards momentum when we're looking at the tech stocks, and they're taking their turns. One time it's Apple and Amazon. The next day it's Facebook and Google, and so they're taking positions on different days. They're taking rotations about who's going up when. So this is kind of interesting. Just got to pay attention to all of them, to give us that direction if it's going to make a correction on the upside. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, trading to that upper limit of 28,500-ish level. does break above it, which it may, because the markets have that sentiment right now, we could see it break through that 29,000. If we do that, then we could get back to that 34,000 as well. So, you know, keep an eye on this because, you know, it could turn on a dime, and it does give you some opportunities throughout the day. And just be careful with it in either direction that you choose to trade it. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.